Hi everybody, it's Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made using the July My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit. When I saw the July kit, I was very happy because I saw that there were some papers and embellishments from the 49 and Market Academia collection. And my younger daughter, Julia, just graduated college in May. And I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to scrapbook some of the photos that I took of her on her graduation. I selected one of the 49 and Market papers. I'm going to show you that again in a little while. And a whole bunch of embellishments. I'm using some Distress ink in Vintage Photo, and I'm inking the edges of all of these pieces. The books that I'm holding, those were fussy cut out of some of the packaging. And then all of the other elements are ephemera pieces from the kit. In the July kit, there were 2 packs of ephemera. One of them had a travel theme and the other one had this academic theme to it. And I found that those 2 different subjects went together really well. So I'm using a combination of those ephemera pieces from those 2 different packs. So I'm using this large window and I'm putting a journaling card or a layering piece behind it. That was from the travel collection and the window was from the academic collection. And now I'm going to start assembling all of these elements on the layout. I'm starting off with a photo of my daughter who is sitting on a large wall that says the name of her school on it. And there were no students there, and there were students everywhere taking pictures. So we pulled over and she jumped out with us and we took a number of pictures on this wall. There was another wall around the front of the school, but that one was packed. So I was really happy when I saw that there was nobody and we could take as many pictures as we wanted at this location. I took one of the frames and I put a piece of white cardstock behind it. And now I'm going to layer my photo on top of a piece of white cardstock. I want there to be a small white border around it. And then instead of putting it behind the frame, I'm layering it on top of the frame. And then since there were a number of embellishments that I planned to use that had black on them, I thought it would also be nice to have a very thin black border around the outside. I always want the photo to be the most prominent thing, so I will usually, not always, but usually try to use a matte that's the darkest color that's on the layout to matte my photo. That way it is very prominent on the page. So I started off with my photo and that large window, since those are the 2 largest pieces. And then the title is You Are Awesome, and I place that to the left of the photo. And then I'm going to continue to add the embellishments and fill in all the spaces. I started off with 2 tags at the top. One says On Top of the World. And I was thinking about using this little tag, but that didn't end up making it onto the layout. And then at the bottom of the page, you could see that there's a frame, and it was an off-white color, but earlier I used the Distress ink to make it a little bit darker so that it would contrast with this light background. I added a small journaling spot near the title, and then I also added an embellishment that says Too Cool for School. I put a tab that says This is Just the Beginning to the right-hand side of the photo. And then in the lower left-hand corner of the photo, I cut out some packaging, and I thought it fit so nicely in that little spot, but it said 49 on it because, of course, it's packaging from 49 and Market. So I used one of the ephemera pieces to cover that up, and I was really happy with the way that turned out. I really like those little yellow rulers. I tucked a globe into the embellishments at the top of the picture. I end up moving that globe around though. First I took it off, and then later on I'm going to put it back on the layout. And then I also added some circles to 3 different places around the layout. I'm not sure if those were embellishments or those were the leftovers after you punch out the embellishments, but I ended up really liking them, and I think that those small circles add a nice element to the page. I also added a few more of those star embellishments, like the one I have on the corner of the photo that covered up the 49. And then I felt pretty good about where I had everything placed on the layout, so I began to attach everything down. I used ATG adhesive to attach everything to the page. Then I put that globe back on the page, and then I decided to back the frame that's at the bottom of the layout. I did that off camera because I had to kind of tear a lot of things off the layout, and then I backed it with that same journaling card that I have behind the window, and then I put it back into place. And I like the way that frame looked with nothing behind it, but I felt that I needed a little bit more weight at the bottom of the page. The window is very large, and then there's that large photo, and then I felt there was really nothing on that lower part of the layout, so I thought that that would help to balance the page. And then once I had the frame attached back down to the page, I added those two sentiments that I had there before. They're two long sentiments. One says felicitations, acclamations, and congratulations. And the other one says we could not be more proud of you. And I just love graduations. There's something about them. It's like so nice, young people starting out in the world and so much hope and so much accomplishment. And they're just so happy and positive. One of my favorite things to attend. Now I'm going to use some of my Distress Oxide inks with the fantastic stencil that we got in the July kit. I just love this stencil. It's a whole bunch of really tiny hexagons, but there are also some splatter shapes in there, and I started using it and was immediately in love with it. I'm sure this will become one of the most used stencils that I have. The first color of Distress Oxide that I used is called Age Mahogany. I think that that reddish brown color went really well with the tones that are in the collection. And then I also used Gathered Twigs. That is a little bit more of a softer brown, and I liked the combination of those two colors. I was only going to put a little bit of stenciling in either corner, but I loved it so much that I continued to add it to the layout. I'm adding a touch of stenciling underneath the photo. As I'm adding the stenciling, I'm trying to make sure that I'm adding it in an irregular way. I don't want it to look the same on the top and the bottom and the two sides. I want it to be a little bit more interesting. And then I also think that using two different colors, layering them slightly on top of each other and putting them next to each other also helps to add to the interest. You can see that the top and the bottom stenciling look a little bit different. And then on either side, I do the same thing. I try to put the stenciling in slightly different places and make the shapes a little bit different. And then earlier, I forgot to mention this, I added some photo corners to the layout. There's only 3 photo corners that can fit on the photo since I have the embellishment in the 4th corner. But I punched out the corners using an EK Success scalloped photo corner punch, then I attached them down to the layout. Right now, everything that's on the page is all paper, and I like to add different elements made of different materials. So I thought that I would add some twine to the 2 tags. I used black twine for the tag on the left, and then I used a brown and off-white kind of striped twine for the tag that's on the right. I worked with the twine a little bit to make sure that I liked the way it looked on the page, and I twisted it around a little bit until I was happy with the shape that the twine made. Now I'm adding some very tiny splatters of black to the background. I'm using a Shimmerz paint called Color Splash, and the name of the color is Black Hole. I just wanted to get those splatters around the outside where I have the stenciling. And to make those splatters very, very tiny, I tapped my scissors against the base of the container that holds the straw, and for some reason that makes little tiny splatters. I also wanted a couple that were a little bit bigger, and in the upper right-hand corner, a couple of larger ones just splattered naturally, and then I couldn't get those in the bottom left-hand corner where I wanted them. So in the end, I just used the straw and I dotted a couple of larger black splatters onto the background. And then, as I said, I wanted to add some other textures and materials onto the page, and something I love to add to my layouts are things like pearls and enamel dots. I was going to use some green enamel dots on the photo corners. I put some very tiny orange and green enamel dots on the star embellishments. And then I was thinking about using green for the photo corners, but when I tried the green on the photo corners, I didn't like the way they looked, and I thought that black might look a little bit better. So I took those off, and then I found some black enamel dots, and I like the way those look on the photo corners much more than the green. Sometimes you just have to try things out before you know if you're going to like them. Well, that was the very last touch on this layout. The layout is complete. Here are a couple of close-ups. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was a quick one, but I was happy with the way the layout came out. Please take a look in the description box where you'll find a link to the My Creative Scrapbook website. You could check out all of their beautiful kits there, and you can order a subscription if you would like. And don't forget to check out their Instagram account. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see everybody again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.